Hey, Anton here from GT Canada. Today on Car Stories, I want to tell you what it's like driving a Skyline, a Nissan Skyline. So if you've seen my other videos, you already saw my car story about my experience about buying a Skyline, importing a Skyline. I've also showed you how to import a Skyline into Canada and some clues on how to do it into the United States, but more particularly for Canada. What's it actually like driving a Skyline? What's it actually like driving a Skyline though in North America? So the first obvious difference is it's a right-hand drive. So that means you're driving on the other side of the vehicle, which can present certain problems, particularly making a left-hand turn at a light where there isn't already an offset in the road to allow you to kind of see around people, because you're sitting on the whole other side of the car. So that can present a challenge, and a left-hand turn is already one of the most unsafe acts that you do as a motorist. Add to that 3 feet of perspective shift in where you normally would be sitting to where you are actually sitting. And if you're not extra cautious, you can find yourself in a compromised situation. The only upside to that is if you do not time that turn properly, then at least you're the one that's going to pay for it. So if you were going to get T-boned because you made a poor choice with your timing on your left-hand turn, someone's plowing right into your driver's side of the car. So I guess you die instead of your passenger, which makes it your own dumb fault for making an unsafe left. So that's a fringe benefit, I suppose. Gets more stupid drivers off the road. You accidentally wreck a right-hand drive car in the process. They can be unsafe, but there's ways around that. So I usually would just not go so far over to the left. I'd stay to the right-hand side. So if there was someone stopped on the opposite side of me, you can actually see right past them usually to see the traffic coming. And as long as you wait a good 2 to 3 seconds from when it's clear to your left and nobody there, then if there was somebody in that blind spot that was kind of blocked by the car, they would have passed by now. So then you know it's safe. The other thing is on a single lane highway, it's really hard to pass. You have to kind of pull out a bit. Same deal as making a left-hand turn. If you're pulling out that far, you run the risk of running over that line a little bit. If somebody is there, they could clip your car, especially if they're busy texting while they're driving, not paying attention. So again, the way that I overcame that was actually ride up on the shoulder and look past the car that way. And then once I knew that it was clear, then pull out, make sure it's still clear, and boogie past. The good news again with this is most of the cars you're going to be importing are usually higher horsepower, so it's a lot faster to get past that guy, so you're not in the opposite lane for as much time. Other things are drive-through windows are somewhat difficult when you're on the wrong side of the car unless you've got a passenger. So you can yell your order out at the McDonald's, but when it's time to pick up your food, you end up doing a bit of a shift where you get up onto your hopefully you've got the armrest in the middle. You can undo your belt, lean up on your arm, and then hang up over into the window to grab your food, but it still is a little bit uncomfortable and is a little bit awkward. Also shifting, the gear shifter layout is the same on a 5-speed or a 6-speed manual. So that means in an American car where first gear is over here, closer to you and up at the front, in a Japanese car, JDM import, it's actually farthest away from you and up. So it's a little bit weird shifting with your left hand and doing the gears backwards. For me, in my Skyline, I found like the 2 to 3 shift got me a lot, where I would put it to where I think it should be, and it was like just this flat spot where it just thumped right up against nothing. I wasn't over quite far enough to be going into 3rd gear, but I wasn't going into 1st gear either. You can't go into 1st once you're going that fast. The other thing is that unintentional jump straight into 5th gear because you're trying to compensate for your bad spatial positioning with trying to get into 3rd. So that's also a problem. You'll get used to it after a while, but at first you're really gonna look like that fool in a new right-hand drive that's mis-shifting, and you're gonna lose a lot of races if that's what you're into until you really kind of get used to that. Unless you're in an automatic, which most people don't import automatics just because that's kind of lame when you're buying a high performance sports car. The other things that you're not really going to think about, those are general differences that you notice just with a right-hand drive car, not specifically to a Skyline. There are some perks to having a right-hand drive car, just any right-hand drive car, and that is, especially if you've got younger kids, the look that people make, or the faces that people make when you've got your 8-year-old kid in what would normally be the driver's seat, and you pull up at lights and people see this little kid sitting in the seat, and they always do a double take, like, holy crap, that kid's driving a car, and then it takes them a second, they realize that your steering wheel's on the other side, and then it's all good. That might have changed a little bit now as right-hand drives become more commonplace in the country. I know when I was driving mine, it was 2005, 2006 was when I first got mine, and not a lot of people had imported them at that point. We were at the point where the interesting cars were just starting to become legal, and so there was more guys bringing them in, but not a lot of people had seen them yet. Specifically to the Skyline. Now, I had a 4-door GTS4 sedan, so that's got the RB20 single turbo. It makes just over 200 horsepower. At the time, in 2007, 2005, 2006, 2007, there was not a lot of cars that put down more than 200 horsepower in the first place, so it still was a quick car. It's not fast though, and that's the thing. So I compare driving a Skyline in Canada or the United States a lot like driving a Honda Civic in the 90s. Now, I know I'm going to date myself a little bit, but bear with me here. So in the 90s, everybody had Honda Civics. Most of them were quick, they were fun, but they weren't fast. And everybody knew they were quick. So if you were that punk in a Civic and you're sitting at a light and you think you're the coolest guy in the world, you're blasting your music, your speakers are vibrating the back of your neck and whatever, right? And you're ready to go, you floor it and you race the guy beside you and you beat him. You win the race, light to light to light, you win that race. Well, guess what? The guy that you just beat says, well, you know, it's a Civic. Everybody knows that Civics are really fast, right? They downplay it, like whatever, you were gonna win anyway. If you lose, if you race and lose, then the guy says, ha, I totally beat you. It's like a Paul Walker moment where you're like, dude, I totally had you, right? And then you still lose. If you win, you lose. If you lose, you lose. It's a lose-lose situation. No one's gonna give you props for winning a race in a Civic, but the guy that raced you, he gets props if he beats a guy in a Civic. Dude, I raced this punk in a Civic and I totally wasted him. Imagine you're in a Skyline, okay? Skylines are fast. Everybody knows Skylines are fast. Everyone's experience with Skylines are from Gran Turismo. The first car you could afford in Gran Turismo was an old GTST Skyline or a Supra. Not many people bought the Supra because the GTST, you could get a GTS4 which had the all-wheel drive, it drove better, it was cheap, you could get it for what, 6,000 credits, 4,000 credits I think, in Gran Turismo. So guess what? Everybody knows that that's a great platform to start with. So if you race a guy in your Skyline and you win, they're like, whatever, dude, like, that's got what, 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, it's God's freaking Zilla. Of course you won. You get no props. Now you race the same guy and you lose, this guy in a BMW is like, I totally wasted you and your stupid Skyline. Take you and your dumb right-hand drive and get out of here. So you lose. Again, you lose or you lose. That's the situation you're in. I learned to just stop trying to race people in my car because I'm like, whatever, you know what? I bought this car for me. I didn't buy it to race you. I didn't buy it to win any street cred or anything like that. I bought it because I appreciate the car and I appreciate the heritage and I want to drive the car and enjoy the car. Then you get all the fools that run up on you and they drive past you and they're revving the engine up like, come on, let's race. And you're just like, no, go ahead. You just go ahead. You don't want to race me, whatever. Totally downplay it. and then you're still a loser because you wouldn't race. You're a punk. They're like, look at this punk. He doesn't even want to race. He thinks his car's so hot stuff, he couldn't beat me. I would totally waste him. Well, maybe you would, but I don't even want to race to find out. I'm just trying to drive to work, bro, right? So here I am, minding my own business, just driving to work, driving home. That's it, using my car as a daily driver that I get to have fun with every once in a while and just enjoy the car. That's it. So in the end, I actually ended up selling my car. I owned my Skyline for about a year. I had a lot of fun in that Skyline. Got to break into the tuning scene with it. I got to make a lot of different hacks for it, make it work better, transfer a lot of information that was typically just available in Japanese for Japanese people because that's where the car was, and try to transfer that into English and to figure out how to modify these cars and what works and what doesn't, and what components are the same as the 240SX, and what components cross over, and how do you get parts, and the challenge that comes with all that. That was fun. Just having these guys constantly on you. Let's race, let's race, let's race. And it got so old so fast that I was like, you know what, I'm done. So I sold the car, and that's when I got my Toyota Chaser Mark II. Total sleeper, 4-door sedan with the super running gear. That was a fast car, but people just left you alone. I did it up kind of VIP style and just minded my own business. Nobody knew what they were looking at. It was a totally different experience just getting out of a Skyline, a Nissan Skyline, and into a different right-hand drive. So it has nothing to do with right-hand drives everybody wants to race, because in my other car, nobody even looked at me twice. If you want a Nissan Skyline, that's fine, that's cool. You can go get a Skyline, do it all up, do whatever you want to do to it, and go win the street races and do all that. I've seen a video recently online, and just for clarification, so I had the GTS 4 RB20, low horsepower, 220, 240, whatever, 220 horsepower, right? I did not have a GTR. I had friends that had GTRs. I rode in GTRs. GTRs were quick cars for the time. The all-wheel drive is amazing, and it's a fun car. Now, look it up online. Guys running GTR versus a brand new Nissan Maxima. Heads up race. Guess who wins in the quarter mile? You'd think the GTR, right? Watch the video. Cars have gotten faster over the years now. So these 15, 25-year-old cars, they're not fast anymore. They were fast in the time. They were performance for the time. But a regular family sedan now is just as fast as Godzilla. And so if you think you've got an easy win in your Godzilla GTR, think again. You're just going to be that punk in the Civic that thinks your car's fast, but it's not really. So if you're looking particularly for a Skyline, just know that you need to be buying it because you like it, because you appreciate it. Don't buy it because it's fast. Don't buy it because you're going to win street cred. Buy it because it's the right car for you, and that's all. Because you're going to be disappointed when you put it out on the street and guys with mildly tuned new cars are wiping the floor with you. Take my advice, don't take my advice, it's up to you. But what you should do is make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, do it now. Click the bell. We got some other videos here, lots of great content. Check them all out. And I hope to see you again on the next Car Stories.